Welcome back to the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. I'm Ernest, and on this episode I'm going to be doing the starter on a C250. And there's like the right way to do it, but I think I can do it a lot faster without taking a couple of things loose. But if I have to, we'll do that. There's just like a steering linkage, which those are easy to move out of the way anyways. But if you don't have to, you don't have to. We'll talk about the tips and tricks when I get there. But yeah, all data expects it to take just about 2 hours, and if you don't have to move stuff out of the way, it's got to take closer to an hour. So I'm definitely not going to be in a rush. I only have 2 things to do today anyways, but hopefully this isn't tricky. Let's go find out. All right, so I've got this wheel chock behind the wheel here, and let's go ahead and look. I've got the car on a jack stand up here. Usually I'll leave the jack in the way as an extra support, but that's right where I'm going to be laying and scooting underneath, so I took the jack out this time. I've got the battery disconnected already, and something else that I wanted to be sure before I replaced the starter was that the motor wasn't seized, so I've already gone ahead and turned that over by hand. It felt fine, but that's always something I do just to make sure, because one time I replaced the starter and the motor was actually seized, and I found out afterwards, so I test that before. But it's not something people would think about a lot. There's no access behind the wheel or anything, so we're going to go underneath. You can see the belly pan. We'll take that out of the way. But the starter's held in by these 2 e-Torx, or I guess those might just be Torx bolts. They're the same size, and there's that grounding strap on the bottom one. There's just one on the top, and that one you can see there. They go in from the back, which is always a little weird, and they're pretty long bolts, but I didn't have an issue with them being stuck or anything. I think the starter failed because it's covered in oil. There's a bit of an oil leak you can see all over the place, so I'll try and diagnose that as well. Alright, so I'm working in the garage here, so I'm not too worried about putting anything on the floor for me to lay on. I'm not worried about oil dripping on the floor more than it already has. I'm just going to clean it up so I don't get dirty off of this pan. And there's a bit of oil on the floor, but I think I can lay next to it. Alright, and now I'm just going to take the belly pan out of the way. I like to leave one bolt in the corner and just kind of swing it out of the way, so you'll see me do that. But these bolts are what I like to call tire poppers. They're screws more than bolts, and they're sharp, so with the washer on the end, they like to stick straight up in the air, and these will definitely get in your tire. You have to keep track of these. Okay, here's what we're looking at. Just sliding that pan out of the way gives me enough room to do the starter, so I'm going to do that. You can see it's covered in oil, but we definitely have more room to reach up in there and get everything loose. Yeah, there is a nice easy way to do it. So you're supposed to, like I was mentioning earlier, remove that steering linkage right there, because why, I'm not sure. Probably on different models it didn't fit over the top, but in the 250 it does fit over the top right there. So that'll come out no problem. I've still got to get the main power wire off of that, so I'll just use a pair of pliers, and I've got the nut back on that. But that's the old core. You can see it's oil soaked like everything else down here, so I'm going to look into the oil leak. I'm assuming it's the valve cover gasket while I'm down here, but once I get this out I should be able to tell up there how high up the leak's coming from. I did see it on the bottom of the intake manifold, so I'm thinking valve cover gasket for sure. But I'll just try and triple check. Alright, sometimes it's easier to do that when it's already off, but as you can see the starter's twisting, so I'll just go grab my impact gun since I have the room here. Pull that off straight, that way I don't have to worry about holding this, twisting it. Sometimes you can bend these, but this one's pretty hefty. I'm not worried about bending it. Alright, that'll do it. This should come out now. Easy peasy, yeah. That's definitely nowhere near 2 hours, but it is what it is. Maybe for some people. Not for your boy. All right, here you go. I just got done wrapping up here, cleaning up all my tools. Here's the car working.